So now let's move on to scatter plots in Matplotlib. And before we create any scatter plots, let me just go through the data preparation. So we imported pandas as PD and Matplotlib as. Then we stored our players.csv file into our data frame. And here you see our players data frame. But by default, pandas doesn't show all the columns in a data frame if it's too much. So in order to display all the columns, we need to use the pandas set option. And in between brackets, we put the display max columns and none as the arguments. And then now you see all the columns is displayed. So now we take the top 100 players from the data frame and we put it in a new variable called df. So what we're going to do is create a scatter plot, and we're going to plot the players overall and their wage. So let's first create our figure. So I'm going to set fig to equal to plt.figure, and we're going to set the fig size to, let's say, 6x4. And next what we have to do is add axis to our figure object. So we're gonna create a variable ax1 and set that equals to fig.add_axes, and in between brackets we put 0, 0, 1, 1. The last two ones, it means the length and the width. So since we put 1 here, our fig size will be 6x4. If we had put 0.5 here, then and 0.5 here also, then our figure size would be 3x2. So let me run that. Oh, PLT is not defined. I need to run this cell. So let me just run all cells. Let me make this a little smaller. Too small. Yeah, and that's okay. So now let's add labels and titles. Set titles. I'm gonna call it overall ability versus wages. I'm gonna set our X label, overall ability, and set our Y label, set that to wages. And let's run that. And you see we set our labels. And now let's create our scatter plot. So I'm gonna call in our axis.scatter. And then we said we wanted the overall column and the wage column. Overall, let me make sure I'm then the wage dot, and let's run that. And you see we made our scatter plot. If you want to remove this, you could type plt.show. We could change the size with the S argument. Let's set that equal to 20. See what happens. And you see it got smaller. 50. Another way we could do this, let me just copy this. Paste it here. And then we call on the data arguments and we set that equals to our data frame. So let me comment that out. And this will just do the same thing. Let's run that. Oh, we need to put a comma here. Let's run that. And you see it does the same thing. But the good thing about this is, let's say we only want to get the top 10 players in our data frame. We could just put data frame dot head, and in between brackets we put 10. So let's run that. And you see we only plotted for the top 10 players in our data frame. So this is scatter plots.